which will never be payable simply because you remember the salary is still constant. So that will still have to be that. So now moving forward, it is not going to be the issue of fuel now. It is going to be the issue of debt. Debt that will not be payable. What will happen is now we are going to have more cases within our jurisdictions. Is it jurisprudence? What do you call them? Within our judicial systems now, we have a small court claim that was set up for helping people to claim debt money. So what will happen 10 months from now, 6 months from now, maybe probably a year from now, you will have so many cases in court, people trying to claim back their monies. You will have so many people blacklisted by CRB simply because they went to a very available app on their phones and collected some amounts they cannot pay back. So this is what our government is not looking at. Excuse me for a minute, I'll be right back. I was explaining the whole mechanism, the whole system that is going to be carried on from here. There'll be a whole sequence of events that will be pulling down Kenyans economically and socially, even mentally moving forward. So there's a whole ecosystem that we do not get, that this government does not get see from here. So yes, you had communications with a few people. And this is what people in this government do not understand. And this is where this regime fails. Communication. And I keep on saying, the people that are tasked with communication in this country, I literally, there's something I normally post about this government. I do not understand if this government is full of power. They are so much full of themselves, and I'm very sorry to use these words, that they do not care what the Kenyan people feel or think about them. Ama they feel they've won so much that they do not need to communicate properly to people. Because one of the things that any nation, any regime needs to invest in is communication. And that is what is failing in this country. I'm not here to lecture anyone. I'm just here to tell whomever is on the other side what is going to happen to its people in the coming years. Subsequent to these events of the last 2 days, there's going to be a whole change of lifestyle to the Kenyan mwananchi. Leave alone to the people you see with G-Wagons every other day in these roads. Those people do not feel the pain. Because most probably, even the few coins that we hear are being given as kickbacks by the marketers, some of the other suppliers of fuels who do not know where we are getting this fuels from. Maybe are the same people who are financing these systems. So I think it is only right that this government learns how to communicate to its people. I think it is only right that we understand fuels are tight everywhere, but communication is the best thing that needs to happen. Communication is one thing that is very wanting with this regime. And I have said, people might communicate that themselves in the wrong way. People might feel that you feel so much powerful that you do not need to communicate to them. And some of the ways that you're communicating, trying to bring, I mean, how do you try and defend yourself by blaming one community? How does how, I mean, hii inakusaidia na nini? How does that help you as a nation? How does it help you as a regime? Because you cannot tell me that Thuku Moita here can control how fuels are marketed or moved in this country. One thing we need to recognize is we have 3 suppliers of fuel in this country. That is the Saudia company and 2 AEAU oil companies, Aramco and another 2 other companies. So I think the only thing that these people can communicate well is what is the deal that was there within the G2G deal they made. Secondly, the fuels that we've been told that are not of the quality that we normally bring into this country, and we understand these fuels had to be brought into this country to caution the prices. So now we still need to know if these same companies that have been sanctioned to bring fuels into this country are the same ones supplying us with this not very quality fuel, and at what price. So we can know then again, if it's not quality fuel, then we will have so much obsolete vehicles in the coming years. So how do they want to shield us from that? Will they be bringing us cheaper spare parts in this country so we can be able to now get cushioned from whatever the cost in this country? These are some of the things that we need communications from the government. The experts are not experting as we thought, though I think that was happening either way. So now, how fuel prices exposes ODM experts in Ruto's government. This is not me. This is the newspaper saying. I repeat that. How fuel prices exposes ODM experts in Ruto's government. One of the things that we were told why there was a change in cabinet, it is because we were being offered experts. And quite interesting, these experts, the issues we have for the day right now falls within their dockets. I saw one expert who was laid off and decided to vie for president, made some very harsh comments yesterday. And he said the experts that were left in government are not really experts. They're just people trying to make a name for themselves. And it's quite interesting that these people were brought in because they knew more of how to run the government and how to communicate to the people. But all we've heard in the recent days is how these people, again, and I'm very sorry to use this name, are so full of themselves. You cannot communicate to human beings like they're not human beings. The first step of leadership for people respecting you is you bringing humanity even in crisis. There's a question one CS asked yesterday, the day before yesterday. And he asked, mbona musituelewe venye mulikuwa mnaelewa uhuru? You see, it is in the way you communicate. You can literally beat up someone and communicate to them of why you beat them up. And they will always forgive you because of how you communicate to them. It could be even this regime is so much legitimate and so genuinely doing what is right more than Uhuru did. but the way they communicate is in the wrong way. Sitaki kurudia kitu Sophie Njehi alisema, sitaki kurudia hata kidogo kidogo. Alisema kitu stuka hapo hivyo, ni kama watu walishtuka, watu walipatana na pesa wajaipatana nao wakastuka. Sitaki kurudia hiyo hata kidogo, sio kitu mzuri. But now people need to communicate in the right way, and this whole thing is going to work out marvelously. So there is another headline here: how to lower fuel prices in Kenya. It's a dilemma right about now. Nobody knows how to lower the fuel prices. Um, the article for today says petroleum taxes and margins enjoyed by oil marketers company will come into a sharp focus as the government races again. It's time to lower the cost of fuel within the next 7 days. In the mid avert, yet another economic shutdown will be founded. So basically, all the newspaper is trying to say is that the marketers will have it bad for this time around, because the government will have to lower, to do away with some of the taxes that are there. And also the market companies will have to come up with a lower profit margins for them to cushion Kenyans. And I wonder why we need 7 days for that. If there is literally a solution there, then I think that is the thing that should have been discussed in the last 2 days when there was a strike. So basically, if these marketers are taking a very hefty profit margin, it is only right that that was supposed to be the first thing that was supposed to be undertaken yesterday. That is the communication we could have gotten from the government yesterday, that these people are taking this much, and we've come up with a plan where they can take this much, so the common mwananchi, again as you call us, can be cautioned from the hard times. Sijui kama ni mimi ninaona hii kitu vibaya ama what is happening in this country, because if there's a solution to this, why not do it? I mean, if marketing companies are taking so much of our monies, if there's a solution in doing away with some of the taxes, why don't we do it? Anyway, PS Omolo opens up on rising goon violence and election fears. So there's been a lot of allegations that PS Omolo, maybe one or two instances, has launched goons on something else. But he himself opens up on some of the issues why there are so many goons that are roaming around in this country, especially in matters politics, where there are rallies and stuff like that. But then again, I do not understand why the PS for Interior is having to explain why these goons in rallies, when we have a constitution that dictates very well when campaigns are supposed to start. I think the question shouldn't be why we are having goons within rallies. I think the question should be why we are having rallies this so far away from campaign. There is literally a period that is kept very nice by the constitution for people to do their campaigns. But now we have an economic year, a financial year, where people should be going about their business totally free from campaigns, totally free from politics. But all we do is have vehicles roaming around, and this is starting from leadership all the way to opposition. Nobody is spared in this. All of them are in this bucket of dirtiness. So I do not understand why the government is having to explain themselves why rallies are being infested by goons. The question shouldn't be why. The question should be, why do we have rallies at this particular time? Medina Okot stripped for greatness after impressive game in WNBA. I am not going to go there. This is basketball, and it is one of the most watched games in this world. Still again, on Aviator, there's still crisis in gambling. You see what happens in this country. This is within the headlines. This occupies the most shallow and the most hidden part of the newspaper. Nobody is talking about the real issues in this country. We have issues with gambling in this country. And I think within our mainstream media, the huge portion of it should be these kind of issues. Why do we have gambling issues in this country? Why literally are we talking about people who are vying for what be within the by-elections of where, and not talking about the people who are actually going to vote for them but have a problem with gambling? Recently, BCLB transacted ama wali change from a board to an authority. And one of the things I expected them to come up with was better policies. The only thing I've seen BCLB come up with is that we cannot have gambling companies advertising. Do you really think gambling companies need to advertise in this country? Well, you have things like Aviator, yenye unapata people who are in the same transport industry wakiwa wamemobilize somewhere, ati we cash out na hii, we cash out na hii, we cash out na hii. Those are some of the things we should be addressing in this country. And gambling comes as a result of lack of extra money, because you'll have money, not necessarily unemployment, but enough money. Because there is no even policies on minimum wage in this country. You will have someone working for 12 hours and not even making minimum wage. Zile vitu zinatusumbua kwa hii nchi ni vitu hazifai kuwa zikitusumbua. A whole PS is talking about goons, when we have issues of minimum wage that has never been addressed in this country. You'll have someone living in Kawangware, you'll have someone living in Kayole. Jana niliona watu wakisema wametembea kutoka Kayole coming to the CBD to make 200 bob a day. Some of the things the Ministry of Interior is tasked with is to make sure that its citizens are well in place financially, they are not exploited, they are not exploited by insecurity. One of the themes is financial security. Why don't you consolidate efforts with labor so you can go to town and check if people are making minimum wage? So these people don't turn to be goons. You see, goonism is a side hustle in this age, in this country. Because there is demand for it, there is definitely going to be supply for it. So why, instead of you as a whole PS, as a very powerful PS in this country, giving statements about goonism in this country, why don't you actually do policy enforcement? That is one of the things that is aggrieving this country so much. Hii nchi iko na maneno mingi. Inside ODM's plan to revive grassroots network. One of the things that made ODM very powerful is that Baba, may God rest his soul in peace, the Right Honorable retired Prime Minister, made a point of making sure that ODM, everyone in ODM felt as a member of ODM. That is why you saw people during Baba's time were willing to die for ODM. Because the name ODM not only was a name for them, but a party, ideology, something people saw, a vision people saw through something, through someone. And that is not something that is inspiring confidence right now. So if ODM is going to reach out to its people and trying to give direction, I think they will have a very hard time. People had something to live for through ODM. People saw a vision so many people could see. But through Baba was the best marketer. I can only say this. Baba knew how to sell his vision to his people. Baba knew how to approach. Baba knew how to communicate to his people. Even when things were going so wrong and people knew Baba did not have a way out, people felt inspired that this man was with us. Yes, there is no way out, but he's with us. Right now, people are walking from Kayole, and when they look at their social medias and see someone is flying from one country to the other country without having to stop to their country where they are in crisis, they feel uninspired. They feel there's no hope. They feel their leader is not with them. They feel there's literally nothing to live for. And I feel that this country needs to reach out to its people. This country needs to give its people hope again. People feel that there is no hope, and hope is such a beautiful thing. Hope will make a man labor for free. And this is something that this country needs to realize. This is something that this country needs to be acquainted with. This is something that some leaders in this country do not have knowledge of. You need to communicate to your people. You need to tell your people exactly why they need to feel hope. Education in the country is no longer free. I think that have been a question. I think that shouldn't have been a statement. In my view, because I know in some parts of this country that education is totally free. It's only that where you choose to take your kids, some charges may apply for some extra things that the government cannot provide for. But yes, education is free in this country. Where where it's due, let give it credit. Where it's not, then yes, let us hit very hard. But in this case, I feel that the education is somewhat free in this country. So yes, that is what it is. Why activist Tony Gashoka wants to advocate bad in Safaricom shares in Safaricom sale. There's a lot of politics around this thing. Personally, I do not want to touch on this because I'm not very much acquainted with what is happening through the Safaricom sale. We had one expert, Maloma, right here in Imagine Nairobi show, and he tried to explain so much. And one of the things that got my ear was how he said that IMF is the control of all this. IMF decides what policies to be implemented in this country, what changes we need to have changed in this country. So I think there's a lot of unseen stories behind Safaricom sales, and we take a bit back and see what happens moving forward. Vegetable traders hit hard by transport chaos and rising costs. As I was saying, this is post effect of all those dramas you saw with all due respect and all that. These are things that nobody is talking about. Right now, there's someone who took fish from Mbita. There's someone who brought cabbages from Narumoru. There's someone who brought viazis from Narok. There's someone who brought milk from Engineer Nyandaro. All these people were headed for Nairobi on Sunday. Unfortunately, on Sunday night, because normally they travel at night, unfortunately, they were not able to access Nairobi city the morning of Monday. And since they still have to be in the same hustle, that was commodity that probably went bad because fish and milk, they will go bad very fast. These are perishables. What do you think that farmer is going to do today when the market is open? They are either going to swallow the losses that they found, or they are going to triple the profits today to recover whatever was lost on Monday. And it is only right, you cannot blame them. So who's the one to incur that cost? You again, the common mwananchi. But you see what we let go, and the conversation, the boardroom that was filled with only 23 people talking about their issues. Na hiyo ndio kitu yenye tuko nayo kwa hii nchi. Everybody is trying to solve their own problems. Nobody is trying to solve the next person's problem. That is where you see our symbol of unity, our symbol of hope is up in the skies flying while you're walking from Kangemi, while you're walking from Kayole to town. Everybody is trying to solve their own problems. Nobody is trying to solve the other person's problem. Yani, we are so much into trouble in this country that even the people we are looking up to, people who are with the inches resources, are also trying to make a living for themselves. They are trying to cushion themselves. It's quite interesting. Our symbol of hope visited a nation I've never heard before. Right before he went to Kyrgyzstan, there is another country he went to starting with A. Abidjan something. I've never heard of that country. Nowhere in geography did I ever come about that country. It is quite interesting. And again, nobody knows to what ends. And probably it was to something very interesting, something that is very beneficial to this country, but nobody is communicating. And I keep on saying again, the State House communication team is very good with photos. They send photos, they can literally send you a whole album of how the president commuted from the airport to the other end. But they are not writings. There is literally nothing attached to the photos. There is no communication. And that is not the president's problem. The president is doing what he's supposed to be doing. The people behind the communications are not communicating. So we do not get to know what the president is doing. So when opposition comes and says there are 4 women, 4 very beautiful girls in that plane, sijui from wherever, there is a jacuzzi, that is the communication we are going to consume. Because that is the communication that is getting to us. Nobody is communicating. So you walk into a meeting with all due respect. 24 hours later, you walk out into that meeting with a suit clearly indicating that this is something very scripted and very prepared for, and communicate that people should go by their daily lives when there is literally nothing to cushion us. Yes, you've been given 10 shillings deduction, but you're still going to charge us an amount that is going to cushion you as a matatu operator. So mimi sijaongezewa mshahara ya kujaribu at least nikave hiyo balance yenye sina. Again, the imbalance we have in this country, it is quite disturbing how things go in this country. How police boss assault sparked midnight arrests, drama for rookie OCS. So apparently there is one OCS who's a rookie. I did not have this information. He's a new OCS that was arrested. And there's been a lot of drama around that. One activist, Boniface Mwangi, said that they stand with this OCS. But later in the day, I saw, and this is not in the dailies, I saw a letter from the NPS that was published and said that if it is true they were to arrest any OCS, there is the right channels that they normally use for disciplinary actions. And but there's still insistence, according to this newsletter, that there was one OCS who was arrested. Apparently, he released 64 people that were arrested during the Mandamano. I still do not know how to comment to that. I'm only here to read news to you and wrap what I can. It's a very tricky situation with our security forces nowadays. I do not know how to even comment to that. I'm trying to look at what they've published down here, the commentaries, and see what happened. But no one really is giving commentary on what happened. The OCS was just arrested. There's probably some due process that the police normally take when they're arresting one of their own. So we will have to just wait and see what follows up to that. I believe the Boniface Mwangi has very better resources to follow up on that and give us news as they go by. If I have any news to that, I will give instructions. I'll give news to that. KEMRI granted charter in a landmark boost for Kenyans' health research. So KEMRI is one of the institutions that give us research for medication and diseases. They do a lot of trainings to our mwananchi, our medical field. They do some really good works. And I see the president is also issuing awarding charters to them, which is a very good thing. This means that within our HIV and AIDS and other diseases like tuberculosis and crosses and other chronic illnesses, the president is going to have a lot of financings from the relevant fields to continue with the good work that KEMRI is doing. Where credit is due, I said, tunaipatiana immediately. So we still go on with nowadays news is between ODM and Mafuta. It's revolving around ODM. I do not know why. And our very own Mr. Gachagua, who always have news on whatever is going on with other people's lives, which is also a very good thing. So Gachagua is out in the UK. He's giving speeches all over, telling us information we are not privy of. I would love to be in that jet. I think every Kenyan deserves to. We've had quite some years. I believe so. We all deserve to take a ride in that jet, especially for those four individuals I hear that normally rides in those jets. I believe it's an experience every Kenyan should have a piece of. It would take a load off us, working from home, having to pay extra for fares. In exemption, hata wakatoa jacuzzi, watoe sijui nini ingine massage pala, watubakishie tu those four other elements tuliambiwa na Gachagua wanakuaga hapo ndani. Sijui walituambia ni Ethiopian sijui na nini. Wakatoa tu everything else, hata jacuzzi watubakishie tu those four elements hapo ndani. I think it would really do Kenya some good. Kuna watu wanasikia fiti dunia. So yes, that was it for us today. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Imagine Nairobi, and tomorrow we're going to still give you a breakdown on whatever is going on within our boundaries, outside boundaries, but we're only going to follow Kazakhstan for now. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Wednesday. Have a good day.